Mitt Romney, the former presidential candidate, soon to be again presidential candidate, who was the governor of Massachusetts and is the son of the late governor of Michigan, George Romney, will speak in Ann Arbor today. And he will speak about health care. The reason being, when he was in Massachusetts, he put in place what was then a very revolutionary health care system for the people of Massachusetts. And some of the elements, apparently, of that system are used in the Obamacare, as it's called, the National Health Care Reform System. Now, Mitt Romney's got to explain that if he wants to win the Republican nomination, because a lot of Republicans don't at all like what Obamacare brings us. So today, Mitt Romney will come to Michigan, a state where he's popular, obviously, because of his father, and where he won the Michigan primary, last presidential race. And he'll hang a lantern on his problems, as they say in politics. He'll explain himself when it comes to health care. We have a draft of the speech provided by USA Today here, where we can read what Mitt Romney will say today, for the most part. First of all, he says health care is more than just 1/6 of the American economy. It's a source of well-being for individuals and families. And he says that Obamacare, with its high taxes and vastly expanded federal control over our lives, is the wrong course for America. He says our healthcare system has several well-known problems, and they are high and rising costs, significant numbers of Americans without insurance, and glaring gaps in quality and efficiency. But he says we can fix those problems. But he thinks that Obamacare is going to lead to more spending, greater federal involvement in healthcare, and negative effects on the U.S. economic system. And he says the president forgets the admonition to, quote, do no harm, end quote. So Mitt Romney is going to tell us today in Ann Arbor, if he's elected president, he will issue on his first day in office an executive order paving the way for waivers from Obamacare for all 50 states. In other words, the states will get the choice. Do we want it or not? And then subsequently, he's going to call on Congress to fully repeal Obamacare. Those are the reforms he's proposing. And he's got 5 steps, too. You want to hear them? Step 1, give states the responsibility, the flexibility, and the resources to care for citizens who are poor, uninsured, or chronically ill. Rather than the federal government, let the states decide to do with the people who need a helping hand when it comes to health care. Step 2, reform the tax code to promote the individual ownership of health insurance. He wants to give individuals a choice between the current system and a tax deduction where they can buy insurance on their own. Step 3, focus federal regulation of health care on making markets work. For example, individuals who are continuously covered for a specified period of time may not be denied access to insurance because of pre-existing conditions. Therefore, we've heard Blue Cross Blue Shield talking a lot about covering people with pre-existing conditions. And then he goes on to say, step 4, reform medical liability. He thinks we should cap non-economic damages in medical malpractice litigation. And step 5 is to make health care more like a consumer market and less like a government program. And one of the ways to do that is to strengthen health savings accounts that help consumers save for health expenses and choose cost-effective insurance. So that's what Mitt Romney's going to say today. You're going to hear a lot about it on the television news and on the radio news, and of course you'll be reading about it as well. But that's what Mitt Romney, who is considered to be one of the leading candidates for president for the Republican nomination anyway, will say to us later today, and we'll have analysis of that speech tomorrow morning, of course, for you. We're live here in our American Metal Roofs studio. You can find them at AmericanMetalRoofs.com and learn more about how you can save up to 50% on your energy bills. I turned on the air conditioner for the first time yesterday. That's a good sign, isn't it? Did you? I began to wonder when I turned it on, though, how much is this going to cost me? Because the gas bills are up, to drive around, and energy costs and so forth. So I said, should I turn it on or not? I ended up turning it on. But American Metal Roofs can show you how you can save money on your energy bills and run the air conditioner without worrying about it. You can find them at AmericanMetalRoofs.com or at 877-569-4700. An earthquake hit Spain yesterday, and while that was happening, 1 in 5 residents of Rome didn't go to work, kept the children home from school. And why did they do that? They were very fearful of a 1915 prediction by a seismologist who said the big one was going to strike on May 11th, 2011. Made that prediction all the way back in 1915. And so thousands of Romans fled Rome. The shops were closed because they were afraid it was going to be the big one. Now, there were state TV programs urging everyone to remain calm, but 20 tremors did strike Italy, but it was Spain, about 800 miles to the west, that got a devastating quake. So he only missed by, 800 miles, but still. He's said to have predicted several earthquakes that hit Italy during the last 100 years before his death in 1979. And panic, they say, was, the panic was made worse by Facebook and Twitter and text messages, people getting all riled up about the prediction. He thinks the movement of plates and earthquakes are a result of the planets, the moon, and the sun, and that earthquakes are perfectly predictable. And so while the people in Rome were fleeing the city, the people in Spain got it yesterday. Interesting how Twitter and Facebook are exposing people to more and more information, and sometimes it's not always good, and sometimes, of course, it's very excellent. Floodwaters here domestically from the Mississippi River plaguing the residents of the Magnolia State. Their federal relief is on the horizon. Federal disaster declaration covering 14 counties in Mississippi has been signed by President Obama. What's the old song? You keep going your way, I'll keep going my way. Rivers, stay away from my door. But they're getting it there in places like Tunica, Mississippi. Gary Austin will bring you a news update in just 3 minutes. It's Michael Patrick Shields all across Michigan.